Well, as we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful, beautiful afternoon, Friday, November 1st, year 2024, here with the Hello Low Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Low Show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and then, of course, the likes of you out there that make it your business to enhance and fortify this wonderful concept called public access. A concept that stretches beyond the walls of definition of that which is acceptable and basic. Our unique additions to our personal, intimate interpretation is something that actually makes it what it's all about. Makes it colorful and makes it relevant to many, many things beyond one sitting here like I do myself, whether it's just now beginning or whether it's a duration of 3, 4 decades. Still, nevertheless, having that kind of intimate interaction with the idea of warming your seat as you have those ideas floating in your head and impatiently moving forward to being found themselves being expressed in the openness of the thin air, the kind of blending with Mother Nature before it makes its impact. Public access has a way of doing that. Public access has a way of instilling uh, um, and seeding uh, uh, all of the levels of your engagement with the creative process and make it easier, make it friendlier, make it more meaningful, make it more accessible. And well, and then also most of it is really, when it comes down to it, it's about how much your personality is available to be interpreted and to be superimposed on the surface that is available to you, whether it's, as I said, the stage that will carry all the layers of meaning of your entity in order to give answers and to accept answers and to give questions and to accept questions and open up um, into the zone that is available, and then we find ourselves literally um, embedded in a very gentle way, though very firmly, and feeling good about this whole thing. The whole idea is that you can you find yourself being engaged in so many things, but you will still wonder how come you're not happy, how come you don't have this sense and feeling of joy and gratefulness and satisfaction and just all these normal things that one would expect while one is engaged in the process, usually the artistic process. Many people out there know of what I do here. Uh, but I do now and then need to kind of correct them that it's really not about I don't I hope that I'm not sitting here and coming across as if I am talking about myself or my art or being an artist, myself as an artist. And even though I must admit that I am somewhat indirectly, realistically narcissistic with just the right amount to keep me afloat, because you need self-awareness to a certain degree, and that sometimes requires narcissism to kick in and help you to stay afloat. And that's, in my case, that would be the truth. I speak about the deterrence that comes along with creating art. I speak about the deterrence in the shape of oops, there is an obstacle. Oops, I cannot find myself crossing it and pretending that business is as usual. There's something that suddenly, when you thought that the path is free and open and good to go, and suddenly there's resistance that you don't quite understand this, whatever is this that you understand of its nature and of its purpose of it, or of its uh, plan of its, when I say purpose, I mean, what is the role that it's playing here? What's going to come out of it? But sometimes we are delayed with our reaction because we kind of want to believe that nothing has changed because we got so used to whatever it is that we got used to. And it's never an easy thing to find yourself detached from something that you just feel okay. And you consider that feeling okay is actually a lot. So, you want to kind of be vigilant and purposeful and guard it and protect it and make sure it lasts, make sure it's there when you turn around and come back to it again. The idea of suddenly feeling that having that feeling that you're lost, I couldn't never relate to the feeling of being lost, or even though I have a lot of respect to um, the effect of uh, humbleness due to an encounter with uh, feeling feeling weakness due to a certain intimidation, and because you want to think, and I don't blame you. It's like I think I'm a creature of habit, like we all are a creature of habits. And then so we kind of indirect way bound to become addicts no matter what. It's almost like an inevitable, especially if of the habit itself is really inseparable part of your life, and then some, and even more so. But you don't care about these kind of potential complications, because the now carries you so comfortably and so pleasingly and so reassuringly. And so why do you want to bother thinking about its nature when you already figured that out? Uh, and that's why you're there to begin with. That's why you got the job to begin with. That's why you were part of the team and the theme. That's why you understand that. So at least in the early stages, you know better than to find yourself when you're not supposed to be. You know better than engaging, and that engagement means a lot of doing, a lot of giving, a lot of producing. Uh, better than to find yourself in that scenario that will cause you to deprive yourself from vital energy. Okay, and it's more like that I will tell you and share with you, and sometimes I would have to kind of bring from within deposits of recollections and experiences, and all the give and take and back and forth being documented. I would have to, i- um, in a very humble way, say, okay, well, you know what? I happen to have an example. Doesn't always work, but at least it's a point of reference. So you say, well, you know what? If I heard a story about Auschwitz and some vicious killer that used to kill people because that was the business of the place, the business of Auschwitz was murdering, killing, torturing, everything. And to see that in the midst of that, there's some still a very weird, peculiar deterrence in the shape of the killer meets his professor, the killer meets his idol, and there is no force of evil in the world, in existence, that can persist to remain that in the face of facing your idol and facing your professor, facing that person that you used to go to sleep thinking about him, waking up in the morning thinking about him. And when I say thinking about him, is thinking about his thesis, his technique, his mastery, his knowledge, his experience, his aura, his inspiration. It was a part of what was entirely the package of of uh, profoundness, sophistication, and then of course intimidated. You take one look at him and you're intimidated. You don't even know why. You just know that it's rightfully so, because you know that the person in front of you is second to none. You know he's solid. You know no matter what, you cannot entertain ideas that will make you look like a fool. So even in Auschwitz, that killer found out that his idol is there, and he connected with him, and he dropped to his knees in his office, took this prisoner at Auschwitz that was weighing maybe 80 pounds, and a shadow of himself. He dropped to his knees and called him teacher and said, "Teach me. I beg of you. I beg of you to teach me. I want you to teach me." And the instincts to live in the shape of that individual in front of him, that obviously, in order to survive, weighing only 70, 80 pounds, malnourished, sick, you name it. I mean, if you know a thing or two about what Auschwitz was all about, so that's the face of it. So if he survived until the moment, he's got a story a story or two to tell about what survival means and what is it all about, and things of this nature. So he tore his soul apart. He tore his spirit to pieces. He tore his desire for aggression, direct or indirect, for hatred, for resentment, for violence, tore it to pieces, to shreds, by teaching him what he knows best, music, and having the piano to serve as the musical instrument in order to execute. Now, this in the face of evil, I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the artist to the right, the villain to the left, Auschwitz in the middle, and you know this is a place where if you're really tough, it, it, you can survive 72 hours if you don't go to the gas chambers without completely losing your human dignity. So here is spending 3 months in Auschwitz, connecting with his someone that admires him from the days pre-war and pre-madness and pre-racism and pre-annihilation and pre-killing, where he was the king of that art form, the king of the person who knew how to send it forth and share it with the world. And this is coming from a person that needs no more understanding that he already has, no more qualifications that he already has, no more reassuring and testing and being challenged than he already have had and successfully achieved the process of qualification, and then found himself in the midst of, or in the business of, really conditioning people to understand the relationship between a human being and music, its importance, its impact, just knowledge, straightforward theory. So here you go. I want to talk about the art that was in the hearts of people, that they took this art with them, even though they went through an incredible change of heart, from nobility and from the classics and from manners and values and code of conduct, to the hell of Buchenwald and Auschwitz, the dirt, the filth, the lies, the infections, the complete lack of human decency, and humanity is being broken, dissipating to into the nothingness that it ended up being. I want to talk to you about how art thrived there, survived, prevailed, still even in its miniaturic, uh, surviving leftover amount, of that which was just absolutely falling apart and dissipating into the thin air. Through what? Through the same artistic concept that I live every day. And I don't have to be the greatest painter in the world. I don't have to be the greatest poet in the world. I don't have to qualify as the greatest drummer in the world, musician in the world. I don't have to. I just have to say, I come in good faith. And whatever it is that I give, the amount, the duration, the extent, is the utmost that I can give. So that means I can stand here and say, I give it all, even though still it can be 20% of my time, but still be 100% of 20% is much more than 10% of 90% or something like that. I don't know. But the thread that carries us into being able to maintain and accept and adapt the code of conduct, the values, all these wonderful things that keep the neighborhood and the community and just the whole structure that keeps people sane and law abiding. Uh, keep it going. Keep it so the deterrence is there, even though you might live a whole lifetime and not see it evidently, but it's there, and that as long as they're maintaining that acceptable, sturdy line, sturdy, solid um, motion forward that breaks into the abruptly, suddenly into the horizon, into the whole width of the reality that the horizon carries with him or with it, and then of course when you find out that this in more ways than one, picking up a meaning of second nature. Now, I don't know if you ever felt with things that you engaged with and busy with artistically, that suddenly it feels like you don't have to toil and slave and work so hard because so much has been already achieved. Becomes a second nature. Just like as a by the way thing, you carry on with greatness. As a by the way fashion, you manifest genius. So yeah, I know that I won't survive in a vicious battlefield through reciting my poetry. I know I won't survive the battlefield if I was to bring my drum set and solo there in the midst of shells and bullets and knives and blood and whatnot and noise. And that's exactly it. I don't expect that to happen. I expect the seed and that which comes to life on the behalf of the effort of people like myself and you that is picking up steam. And when I say picking up steam, once it shows its face, I don't even want to say its real face, just its face. There's no way back from it. That power, that force, that's kind of second to none. Something that you've never encountered, never felt, never heard, never sensed, never smelled, never. You never had the chance to encounter something that's so powerful that it just prevents you from proceeding forward as you are so accustomed to and all that, because it's just the impact is too great. You realize that it's something that requires attention as much as you can spare, because it shakes your soul. It, 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 it shakes your inner ingredients in motion, and it shakes you know, the gathering of fractions to create that wonderful sturdy stage that you find yourself operating on. pretty much all the time. And now and then have the time available to uh, break that sturdy, solid, tight formation into particles and indulge and enjoy and figure out and maybe pick up a few alternative meanings to the ones that you already have uh, at your disposal, clear and making sense, and that the number adds up. And and of course, um, the audit at the other end came out actually very satisfying and satisfactory. And then you feel like, okay, you got a few years now that you can smoothly glide into the heart of the now, through the heart of the now, into the kind of immediate horizon. I don't know if I can call it future, but at least the attempt to validate future by getting closer and closer to it. Public access is a fortune. I mean, it is a fortune, and that in the sense that it's uh, all it takes is just a little dose of what it stands for, and you accepting it and adapting it, even if it's temporary, momentarily adapting it. That's it. You might as well say that you have enough material, enough reservoir that will last you for the next 6 months. Feel secured for 6 months, and you, because you know yourself and because you know that, that's all you need. That's all you need. Not even to have or to verify that they deposited the money. Just, just, just to hear, uh, proceed, get our consent, our approval, our permission for you to proceed. That's all I need to hear. So when the give it and when the give and take takes place between someone who, like, I can identify as myself, and you know what, and here maybe I should kick in with some narcissistic scenario, fermenting and adding more liquid into whatever it is that scarcely exists, and in the shape of anything narcissistic or any narcissistic feeling, gesture, suggestion, involvement, interaction, communication. But still, doesn't hurt to say, hey, I'm here. And by the way, I have, I have an answer. I have a proposal. I have a solution. I have a probability. I have a passage. I have a way. I have a realistic scenario. I have a composition. I have a skeleton. I have a conclusion, and I have very comfortably numerous uh, uh, premature conclusions, that I've self-inflicted, self-enforced, self-applied. That And I have the goodwill, and I have the nature that actually blends with what Mother Nature itself would expect, and would say, yeah, this is a person after my own heart, that gives me the indication that indeed we're good to go. No further in acquiring, acquiring. You're part of the team, and you're actually already working. You're actually on your payroll as we speak. Done deal. So now, in the midst of all that, up to this point, it's meaningless. In the midst of all that, and up to this point, you realize I need to introduce the theme, because people need theme. I don't, but people do, and I will supply them with a theme. We need a defined subject matter. I don't need a subject matter, but they do, and I will provide that to them. And we need a point of reference for finally defining what is the purpose, what's the plan. I don't need that, but they do, and I will make that available to them. And We need a reassuring feeling ongoingly present in order to, well, you know what, to protect our um, um, self-esteem. I don't need that. They seem to need that very much so. So I make sure that it's there available at their disposal. Now, they need access and they need a permission and they need consent and they need an approval and they need an agreement and they need favoring and they need consideration. They need regard. They need an attention. They need comfort. They need support. I don't need any of it. But again, to remind you, not out of the fact that I resent or disagree, has nothing to do with that. I just can do without. But I make sure that they have all of that available, accessible, approachable, just as a given. Now, bring these things together. You think that even myself as a narcissistic individual, not as much as you would think, but just enough and independent and whatever, a visionary, uh, won't discover to me that indeed all these things that I just shared with you, telling you I don't need them, that indeed I need them and I need to have them. And guess what? I have been indulged and after the fact ended up really getting those that I dismissed early on as if I don't need it or as if I'm. And even if I was to tell you that I really still don't feel and that I don't need it, but I don't want to come across as if unnecessarily intimidating my immediate surrounding. Why would I want to do that? And it turns out that that's what's happening. People care about the way uh, people care about what it is that other people express that shakes their being and maybe intimidates them unnecessarily. And suddenly they get to feel, well, we can really do without. And to know how to resolve the situation, nobody knows how to, but they can also always say, well, I think I'm out of here. And that's how sometimes people resolve these issues because they know they want change, because they know they want to be a part of change. And then they choose change and then they feel like they're almost alone there. And and those who are just around you, just a couple of them instead of like 2 million of them, uh, don't know the very first thing about communication. It doesn't look good. You don't. People don't want. I just want to be left alone, only so I can attend to myself and hang out with myself. And maybe when the opportunity makes itself available, a person like me would take advantage of it beyond faster than instantly. And for the sake of understanding how important this whole idea of communication is, when I say communication, kind of emotional, spiritual, emotional, even though you're not really a spiritual person and you don't find yourself to be emotional, but you accept it at face value sometimes. Well, of course you are. Of course I am. Even if I feel that I'm not, of course I am, and do things accordingly. In this world of ours, look, for example, we're approaching the elections. And he's saying, she's saying, she's saying, he's saying, and he did, and she did, he didn't, she didn't, she didn't, he did. They all lie, lie, lie. I mean, you see the candidate looking at a piece of paper, and sometimes I say to myself, piece of friggin' paper in their hands to read. If anybody needs to read that which he or she want to communicate to the people, It's a big no-no. I want to have nothing to do with people that their business is all about lying and deceiving, and then they need the paper to be reminded of what the pointers are. Terrible. I want to see some, you know, if I was running for president, I would probably friggin' sit like I sit here 7 days a week and give an hour, 2 hours straightforward, maniac like, narcissistic like, considerate like, sensitive like monologue from beginning to end. And there will be not even 1 second of pausing or hesitating or second guessing or feeling weird. No, none of that. I would love to see my candidate sitting with himself or herself, reflecting out loud, without any pointers, without any papers, without straightforwardness. Show me. I want to listen to you for a couple of hours speaking, and I want to gather. Maybe after now, if you manage to go across the 1 hour, then I would already start feeling and understanding about your capability to cope with some crazy things, intimidating scenarios and situation being the President of the United States. We also in the process lost respect. I didn't, but I feel people around, they lost respect to the office and to the president himself or herself. This is just something like you remember whoever would be elected, you would remember what they said and how they behaved when they ran for office. And not not delicious, not good, not appealing, not hygienic, not sterile, nothing. Rough and compromised and loose ends all over the place and scattered and splattered and chaotic. And so now he or she are the president. So what do we need to do? Just kind of relax our features and face expression and say, "Oh, the president of the United States, how lovely." None of them, and in the future, none of them will be those who will be tested exactly and specifically, meticulously, as should every candidate for the presidency go go through and be scrutinized by. Just that you need to understand who's the person in front of you. What do we do in order to understand that? Zero. You want to tell me what people did in the last 30 years when they cannot deliver the message straightforwardly in the present, like 5 minutes straight, without being asked questions, without nothing, just you yourself, you and you in this scenario, telling the people, telling the world, that's how I would be in the Oval Office when I will be in the Oval Office alone with myself. That's the kind of person I'm going to be. And you can do that. But there's fear, there's suspicion, there's mistrust, there's shallowness. All these people that seek office, they, for the most part, shallow individual. They they're the they're the people that would not consider philosophy as something viable and important to know and to learn, and even if it's your own concept and your own conceiving style of what philosophy is all about, and turn it into the artistic passage and all that. But in the meanwhile, know everything there is to know about the office, about the requirements, about the code of conduct as far as behavior in that level of decency and the relationship with the American people. That's what we need. Do we get it? Do we get it? I don't think so. But we, the people, luckily, are smart and capable and talented and so much more that I can give you a whole list so we can keep it together. We can suggest, if not to literally bring and implement solutions and viable, intelligent. And we choose to forgive and to forget the shallow aspect of their presentation that scares us to death, because those shallow individuals will be able to annihilate the world just like that, because that's the way it is. If that doesn't scare you to death, I don't know what should scare you to death. So in the same token, you want to say, I hate your guts, but I would love nothing more than helping you now. I think you're a loser, you're good for nothing, but I will stop at nothing to give you support and to make sure that you got everything that you need, and to make sure that that which I'm giving you is the most that I can give you. I resent you to from end to end, but there's no way that I'm not going to support you and give you the strength and make sure that I'm announcing and reminding you of my presence and of that my reliable the fact that you can rely on people like me in the midst of my resentment. If you were to be elected to office, you will be forgiven for everything that scared me to death and everything that made me feel like I want to throw up from disgust. But now it's all about satisfaction. It's all about contentment. It's all about, you know, success and prevailing and breaking through and feeling comfortable and more knowledgeable, more experienced, more uh, smart smarts on how to work the system. That's what we need. That's so once everything is said and done, you look right, you look left, you said, okay, you know what, no more expression of how I feel, no more volunteering information. The duel is over. The back and forth and the process of soliciting and promoting over. Here's the president, here's the government, and let's see what they can do. Let's see what is the utmost that I can share and give. Yeah, being adamant and cliche, you have to go through that too. To say, yes, in the name of the American people, we want to give to you so we can give ourselves. We want to ensure you of our presence and support because we need that. We need that from ourselves, which probably we are giving to ourselves, but we need you above all, knowing that we're together with you and knowing that you have the power to better that which is considered altogether America. So speaking of art, speaking of the journey of art, speaking of that level of devotion and dedication, speaking of looking around and seeing people, speaking of observing and identifying talent and conviction and more talent and ability and goodwill and decency and just honesty and also sturdiness, roughness. I want my president, I want my elected officials be tough, 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 like friggin' tough, because it's a tough job. It's a tough job. And if it's not a tough job, then either they're just complete losers or that they're not doing anything right. That's why it's not tough. That's why they just look like they just came out from a haircut and a massage, and it's tough. You need tough people to take this job that's considered so tough. You need that toughness. So I don't know if I have the ability to understand what it is that I can contribute to someone to help that someone be tough, because we need them tough there. Doesn't mean that toughness will deter him from being logical and decent and trustworthy. Doesn't mean that this toughness should speak about how shallow he is or how up to no good he is. No, tough is tough is tough is tough. We need those tough. We need them tough. Yeah, and I can assure you and reassure you one thing about art and the engagement with art is that when I'm in my studio, you know how tough I become. I don't feel like I'm becoming or learning or feeling like something is contributing to me to make me really as tough as I feel that I am. Is because for real the process of application, preparation, conclusion, bringing that conclusion back to preparation, back to the back to basics and the early realizations, process of realization, and losing that fear factor and diving in and further and more. And then you feel that your surrounding is accepting you because there's hum. Hmm. Hmm. Just like that, simple. And then you, because you're this and because you're that and because you're that and because you're this, it all kicks in and all together into the painting, into the writing, into the music, into the piano, into the this, into the saxophone, whatever compositions. And you look around and you see everyone in agreement. Everyone is uh, I hate to use the word selfless now, but it's almost like putting themselves, their selves, not themselves, on hold, you know, and venturing, and that spells, a triumph, so much needed, triumphing on moments basis, and realize that what makes America stands for something that we should be proud of. I don't know. Sometimes I walk around in this community and I feel like I don't feel so free and so natural to feel pride about the fact that I'm an American living in America. There's just too many weirdos around me. Then I look and I see their morbid face expression and their like level of resentment. If I was to stop them and say, "What are you resenting? That your face looks like full of resentment," I can assure you, 90% of them wouldn't know even where to begin because they will have no answer to it. But they want to tell you that they're displeased completely. And all I want to do is to say, okay, come on, give me a hug. Fine, I understand. But let's start with a hug. Come on. And those who give me a hug, there's nothing further. No discussion about how disappointed I am from. Wait a second. Give me a hug. That's it. And I'll show you some images of something that I painted yesterday. Awesome. Breakthrough. Breakthrough. So that's why I feel very good about myself when it comes to that. There is no way that any evil in the world, the strongest and the most sophisticated that can be in the entire world, in the entire history of mankind, that can outdo me in sitting and digging deep into thought and into patterns of scenarios, of potential, of imagination, of God's given inner sources, inner meaning, inner profound, sturdy the composition that cannot be anything other than what only God with a superpower can create. You accept that, and then you don't have to think about God anymore because you accept that. You're done. You're done. There's no wheeling and dealing. You don't. You don't. You don't find yourself chewing water. It's like this because I know people that chew water, and you can't tell them how come you chew water because it's not going to be good. They're going to be all over you like a wet towel. But no way that the most profound, capable, vicious evil source in the world, in the history of mankind, that can outdo me, they can belittle me, they can be a prominent contender when I am present. There will be no duel, no battle, because what it is that's coming from me forth, traveling forward, will already give the indication that you don't want to go there. You'll be crushed. You'll be nowhere to be found. So I keep this demeanor, I fortify this demeanor, I beautify this demeanor, I enhance this demeanor, I encourage this demeanor, and I live it as much as I can in the most natural way. And I think that that's a good thing. And I can only wish for you to be able to do that. If you can really decipher what it is that I'm talking about. And if you do, please let me know what you came up with, because I don't understand a word of what I said over here. Even though I'm very, very much feeling full of conviction and reason, and the fact that you can travel as you cross implement, and as you in this journey through what you know, that you're using everything that you use is things that you're responsible for their creation. You don't borrow, you don't take from, you supply your needs by creating the ingredients and that much more. So to sit here and do that, okay, maybe it's my own therapy and I do it on the air and I don't have to pay anyone. And I feel actually very rejuvenated. And I can gather a summary of each session, and they can give me an idea or two or point of reference. And yes, I would lie to you if I tell you that some I like, some I don't, some I approve, some I don't. Say some I'm happy, some I'm disappointed. It's okay. Gotta maintain the the human aspect of it all, and react and act accordingly. Meaning, I am a human being, and I cannot, even though I can imagine, use my imagination and imagine to be whatever I want, however I want, as far away as possible, as close as possible, as I can imagine anything that the superpower, the super entity gave us to be able to travel. When I travel fast, it puts the speed of light to shame. To shame. The speed of light is nowhere to be found, because it just consumes it. My own speed consumes it instantly, and it's gone forever. So why am I able to feel and to imagine that vividly? If not, if this, unless is an explanation. Of course, there's an explanation. The superpower, your landlord, your maker, put the stamp, and that stamp really dug deep into the surface. So it's sipping through your statement because it broke one too many layers, and now you're infested with godliness. I think that's a nice thought. So maybe I will see where we stand here. And one sec. Yeah. And we have, I just wanted to remind you that we're sitting here at on Friday afternoon, November 1st, year 2024, here at the Ololo Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi. And mm, let's see. Okay. So I wanted to do together with you just an exercise here that will, I think it's, okay, that's good. Very good. And we'll have a sip of the coffee. Wonderful. I have the best cookie in the world, chocolate um, with wow, amazing. I'm telling you, this is so delicious. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. Mm. Mhm, mm. Mm, mm, mm. Oh, yeah. Mm. Oh yeah, here we go. 39. That's what I remember. 30 something. Mm. Was it 39? Mm, mm. Okay. Mm. Prior to a meticulously orchestrated event, it stood poised before the exhilarating journey, beckoning towards the prospect of experiencing decency. It flattered, even in its endeavor to bestow a fleeting acknowledgement, nurturing growth from within, triumphing over every advancement, each conclusion veiled in the enigma accompanying a grand moment, attempting to grapple with the mist in a world of striving to evade the burden of, of expressions, while you and I find ourselves amidst its very formation. Don't, for a moment, don't hesitate to introduce into this equation a novel sensation, allowing yourself to be reintroduced, nay, exposed once more to a routine foreign to you, yet embraced by all with a fixed smile guiding you ever closer to the harbor of essential elevations. For elevation is a newfold element, a beneficial instrument herein wherein you discover yourself, time and again finding fault with the fundamental structure that is a dream, steering its, steering its essence in and out of the emotional framework, that which initially unfolds the integrity of our entry systems, implementing a routine to safeguard our sanity and to safeguard it at any cost. This will be, mm, it is? Really? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so the last one. This is the last one that I wrote. Yeah, let's see if it works. If I can really. Okay, we're just adding something here. Oh, okay, let's see. This now I can therefore for the sake of the sacred for the sake of the sacred ritual for the sake of the sacred ritual I will bend the rule and dive straight to the end result. Briefly, I joined a halfway sweet water gushing, chasing plainness with a twist of the complex. Did I say drive? Perhaps a dry run at best, and you, always there, a part of the package, slow burning, digging deep through false approaches, through the cunning breach of trust, lost love echoing with a borrowed mist and might, fit only for this occasion. Um, let's see. Uh, let's see if I can do another one. Yeah, maybe I can do another one. I think I can do another one now. Uh, Oh, yeah. Okay. I think I can do that. Okay, so this one here. Oh, yes. Let's see if I can include that in. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Here we go. I can finish with that. So this is like a poem about the poem. So speaking of that, that has a sense of inevitability and almost cosmic resignation, where sorrow and renewal weave together a part of a large cycle. The use of grammar, system, and reboot brings an interesting mechanical um, or procedural aspect, as if even profound emotions are part of a natural, unfeeling order that neither resists nor rewards. The language serves as a contrast sharply between the personal and the universal. Sorrow feels intimate, but it's processed in a way that seems distant, detached. This is especially powerful in phrases like four legged creatures, kick the air in defiance, where there's an image of primal instinct pushing against the indifferent cosmos. It almost reads as a meditation on existence where emotions are both sleepy human and yet insignificant within the grander, indifferent scheme. There's a subtle beauty in how all this, when we write, when we're creative, moves from sorrow to a sense of recharging or renewal, capturing even how even grief can fuel a kind of rebirth or reset in our lives. So, we want to feel this way, especially when we realize that indeed a it doesn't end there. And in uh, most of our achievements are really due to the things that are very um, quiet and secret kind of thing, things that we do, we create, we write, we play, but it's been kind of processed through other entities, and then you see a spark of it just out of the blue, and you're happy about the result, and you're happy about what it stands for and all that. So we're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday and as much as we're here this afternoon, Friday afternoon, November 1st, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of this particular show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and the huge amount of people out there that make it your business to enhance and fortify this concept called public access, and rightfully so. And thank you very much that you indeed take part in it, and that investment of time and goodwill doesn't go unnoticed. And we want to tell you we love you and we thank you. See you soon.